I believe that.
You wanted to sign up on this one.
It's
I'm
not
about to
holding
make an
things up.
announcement. No, not a problem.
Yeah.
I'll make sure
I
that
got
you know that you want to be
I
public
got small
comment.
complications. Yeah, I just needed to make sure I did on the bond ordinance stuff.
Should go quick. Okay. I'm gonna hold you.
I mean, okay. And I put it to that one.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're going to be on public comment. And
All
then we have a
You know,
public hearing about the grants. So the sheets are very similar.
What?
Okay. So I'm just
Good,
gonna
good, good response.
Yeah.
All right. Some of us can-
There's the phrasing of our student agenda.
Quick.
Okay, I'm open up the microphone.
I just want to make a really quick announcement. So we have two different sign up sheets today. They look very similar. One is for public comment for today's meeting, and then another is for the public hearing that's going to be happening for the water bond series. So we have Kurt Christensen. I just want to clarify, you're signed up on the public hearing. I'm not sure if that is, but you're signed up on the public hearing sheet. Want to make sure that that was the intention. Okay, are you here to talk about the water bond, or are you? Okay. Okay, perfect. Then I'm gonna reassign you to the other sheet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No
I
problem.
only saw.
They're, the only difference is the ending. So unless you were like really looking at the fine print, that's
We read that. Everybody got their mics on?
Yeah.
Everybody wired up? All right, I want to call to order the July 8th, 2024 Town Council meetings now in order. Would you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Motion to approve the agenda. George? Sure, go ahead.
I'd like to, I have two motions. Two different items. Pass this down to Nita. These are motions, courtesy of the mayor. Would you like me to read my motion?
Sure.
Or explain it first?
No, just read it.
I'll just read the first motion, and then I'll ask for a second to explain what I'm doing, and then you guys can vote. I make a motion to clarify agenda item 6KI with additions to read discussion and action regarding nomination, debate, and voting upon an appointment to the tree commission. Sort of 5 words after, regarding, and before the word and. Request a second, I'll explain what I'm doing.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
I didn't hear the words. What were they?
Here we go. I have. In other words, if you could pass this down, I have a visual help here. Pass on to Nina, please. Thank you. Folks, I believe with regard to debate on nomination, we've been proceeding that we're saying that debate or discussion was precluded in some fashion, and we haven't really forbidden. I'm curious about that, and I researched West Virginia Code, as I noted on here, as in Section 8 with regards to municipalities. It's silent on that issue in its relevant section. Harper's Ferry ordinances merely refer us to Robert's Rules of Order. What I've uncovered, and I'd like to put that in, that's the reason for the clarification, not the change of this item, but I want to clarify what our motion, what discussion and action means. And of course it means nomination. I'd like you to say that it means debate and of course voting upon. And it states here, and I've got the book with the pages marked in case someone wants to check my transcription. The first item is on page 416, and that's 4628. And it actually, the whole section discusses debate on nominations. And in fact, it is quite de rigueur. And I underline this, the relevant part to us now. And the member of this committee, of this board here, may then nominate a candidate and, without waiting for the chair to state the nomination, speak in favor of the candidate. Or he or she may speak in favor of a candidate who was nominated previously. I did the vote to you? Okay, thank you. So I think perhaps a misunderstanding is the following sentences are there where they say we should not say something negative about a candidate. Perhaps that's where we screw up. But it does say that we can, as a body, prohibit debate during nominations, but it falls under the limitation of debates element treated in section 15, and it requires a 2/3 vote. It says, and I continue the underline, by a 2/3 vote, the assembly may adopt a motion limiting debate to the extent desired. And I also, if we do that, so here's the problem with the way we're doing things. We could have that, but the problem is, I look at the next citation from 185 in your book here. This is 15.18, under conditions for exhaustion of its effect. And this is under the heading of limit or extend debate, extend limits of debate. It says here, an order limiting or extending a debate is exhausted, parentheses, that is, no longer applies, in any one of the three following conditions. And I've underlined again, at the conclusion of the session in which the order is adopted, whichever comes first. So folks, when it comes down to, we can prohibit debate, but it's only by 2/3 vote. And that order limiting or moving debate ends when the town council meeting comes. And then if the next town council meeting will wish to do so, if we should do so, it requires another 2/3 vote. So I would wanted to say, let's change our practices to bring them in line with Robert's rules. And I just put in this clarification for this evening. We're here on July, the year anniversary of our election, to include a discussion and action regarding debate, nomination, debate, and voting upon appointment for the tree commission. Here's my discussion on it.
Storm.
I'll entertain the next motion after this vote.
Storm. Yes, Mr. Mayor, not expecting this procedure to come up during the meeting, so I'm just going off what I'm seeing in the book right now. But in the section of Robert's Rules cited in 4627 under debate on nominations, I think the first sentence is important, which says, in large conventions, nominations are sometimes accompanied by a speech advocating the nominee's election. Yeah, I was not prepared to address this. And it's good to think about why we do things the way they are. I think it sets this up for larger conventions, such as you think about a major company meeting, a large or political parties, where that's part of the process. But I believe that I've thought about it some, why do we not allow debate? And I think it's because in a smaller town that if you allow debate there really aren't limits to what you say. And if we have a body that is, say, fractious, divided, it can create further division. So again, this kind of landed here without warning. So I would be hesitant to change the rules without further consideration.
Any other discussion?
My second discussion for it.
Let's get rid of the first one first.
No, I mean, I have two allowed.
Are we dealing with this?
I speak twice.
I understand. Are we dealing with the same agenda?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Go ahead with your second and final.
I contest what you said there, that we do not have rules in place. They're nowhere codified. And so that is not an absolute statement. The other is, in practice, this administration here is the only one that I've spoken to who followed it. I spoke with the previous mayor. I spoke with someone who was present in the Stoll administrations.
What
And-
order are we to address
Yeah.
each other?
And, excuse me, Mr. Mayor,
Thank you.
and such is not the case. In fact, we have two people sitting here today who were appointed to commission with debate discussions. I was one, and I believe Ms. Lee Curry was another, so if I'm wrong. So this has been practiced, and I really don't think that the democratic principle of open discussion is something that is terribly risky.
Any other discussion? Roberta?
Yes, and I'm not sure what was discussed or any part of this, but, when I was nominated to one commission, yes, they went to executive order, executive session rather, and discussed my nomination to a certain commission, and then they came back out of executive session and, subsequently nominated me for that commission. But it has been practiced in the past, and, I don't see why we can't maybe do executive session if there's something of issue regarding, nominees for that time and go forward.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the amendment? Opposed? Amendment carries 4-3.
Second amendment,
Okay,
a motion to clarify agenda item 6L5 with additions to read. Quote, discussion and action regarding, and the new words are nomination, comma, debate, comma, and voting upon, and then it resumes the formal language and appointment to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
is there a second on the motion to amend?
I'll second.
Discussion on the motion to amend. All those in favor of the motion?
Discussion. Actually, I misread the previous motion. I'm okay with having a discussion or having, but the term debate is what I'm hesitant about when we are nominating people. Because I think that, especially in a town the size of ours, and with we're not talking about a large scale debate between potential candidates for a position. And it doesn't clarify, is the debate happening between the person who's nominating the person? And we don't really have an outline as to what we would be considering to be a debate. I don't know. I feel like this needs further discussion if we're going to go down this. I'm okay with discussion, like having, someone who wants to be nominated, represent themselves. I think that that's appropriate. But debate is a term that I'm just a little bit
Okay,
hesitant.
other discussion, George?
Yes, that's a very good point, and in deference to that, I would yield to change the word debate to discussion. I'm really putting in there because I was using the term that was in Robert's Rules of Order, and as far as what form it would take, we would refer to Robert's Rules of Order.
Other discussion? All those in favor of the amended motion, raise your hand.
What would be my
That would be to put the word discussion in lieu of debate.
It would be discussion and action regarding nomination, discussion, and voting upon appointment to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm gonna call for the vote one more time. All those in favor of the amended motion, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Opposed? 2. All right,
Thank you.
approval of the agenda. Zach,
I have one more adjustment. I move to move item 6H2, which is under the planning commission, up to ahead of 6A for two reasons. I don't know if you want to give those now or during discussion.
I'm taking the motion.
discussion on a motion to move 6H2 to precede 6A. Zach,
So the reasonings would be that we have a member of the public who this pertains to, and it would helpful. We've done this before where we shift something up so they don't have to sit through the whole meeting. And also, it could take a bit of brain power to work through this one, and I think it would be best if we address it earlier in the meeting as opposed to later.
any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion to amend the agenda? 6H 2 to precede 6A. The motion carries 7-0. All right, now a motion to approve the agenda as amended. George?
Yes.
Okay. We have a second on the amendment. We have a second from Chris. Discussion on. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to amend. Thank you. 7-0. All right, now we got that thing out of the way. And 4, public comment on agenda. Now, this is public comment not dealing with the public hearing regarding the WDA.
Correct. So first we have, Kurt Christensen. If you want to come up to the podium.
Seeing that I know so many people out there that I live on the church for 10 years. And, I would like to serve on the BZA commission. And, I've enjoyed being involved in some of the activities, you know, to go on here in town. And, hope to serve my volunteer. Thanks.
Thank you, Kurt.
Thanks, Kurt.
All right, and next we have, David Leonard.
What was the question?
This is related to item 6H2 that we just moved ahead.
Okay, well, we're not going to deal with it.
Oh, so that's not.
We're going to deal with it, but not during the public comment, unless you want to
Just wanted to
make
see-
one general comment about it. We're going to get into detail in a minute.
Is he the applicant?
Yeah, you have 3 minutes. If you just want to give a brief summary, we should talk for 3 minutes, but we're not going to do.
We're not
deep
going to
dive.
respond to you during this 3 minutes.
Okay.
You're welcome to have the podium for 3 minutes, okay?
Well, originally when we came in, we brought the plat, and I'm not sure, like, I guess you guys have copies of it. Originally the house was 3 lots. And so what we were asking to do, I think it was in the 70s, they reconfigured the lots to put a little house on the corner, a little block house. And there's no real access up to that block house, you know, like to get to it. And so what we were asking for is to be able to put the lots back to 3 lots. Now, with that being said, there's one rule that, and that's why we came, we weren't sure. If you read it one way, it says as long as the lots are 70 square feet, you can, you know, we understood it. But then when we met with them last time, there was another one that said the lots had to be 60 by, I think, 130 or something like that. And so we had put the lots at, they're 50 by 140. And then with the driveways, they do exceed, they are over 8,000, which needs to be 7,000 something as far as square footage. But what we were hoping to do was to put it back to where it was 3 lots. And then be able to put a driveway to the lots so we would be able to get to them, because there's not enough parking on the main road down there because of the front. There's no way really to get to the lots. And then basically, you know, kind of wipe out the lot now that's like 70 by 70 on there. And so that's mainly what we were trying to do. We were trying to take and put it back to 3 lots, but it would, I guess, require, from what I'm understanding, in order to go from 60 feet to 50 feet. And then what we had originally looked at reading the old law before we came in is we looked at different lot sizes, and there are lots that are smaller. So if it's under the old rule, then we should be okay. If it's under the new rule, then probably don't. And then like even the house right next door to 491, which is another brick house, the pink house, it's got 8-foot setback.
30 seconds.
The White House on the other side, between those two houses total is 190. And so we had tried to work it out to where we can make ours meet everything that it could meet, so we could still meet the 10-foot setbacks, except one setback would be 16 feet instead of 20.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anything else on public comment?
Nope, that's
Okay,
it.
we're gonna open up the public hearing comments. Nina, we take our charge of that?
Yeah, so this is the start of the public hearing. We actually did not have anyone sign up to speak.
Okay.
So,
Public hearing is closed at 7:20 p.m.
no, I asked if you just. Because I don't sign up. So,
Okay, and who's on the line, Debbie?
Mr. Wolfers.
So we have council online. Who's handling, Debbie, the 1B?
yeah, so was that,
I have the motion.
Yeah.
If that's up to you.
yeah, that's all.
I move to pass Harper's Ferry Water Revenue Bond Series 2024 on final reading and to make bond ordinance effective July 2024 as presented with issuance of bonds to occur in concurrence with WDA distribution system projects.
There's a second on the motion, second from George, discussion on the motion. Roberta?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I do have some questions. I reviewed the document. I did not read all the pages, but I read pertinent pages. There are pages in there that are blank, and that was the public notice that was held and completed. And I think the document presented as an attachment to our meeting is still showing that document blank. So I would like the recorder to insert that document that was posted and shows the dates that other hearing or whatever was done, a special meeting, whatever was called before. And then also it called for an amortization table that's to be attached to this document. And I did not see any amortization table submitted, attached, sent later. So I have no amortization table to approve this evening. Do we have that?
There is no amortization table as that only kicks in once we draw down the funds, and we don't know when that's going to happen
Okay.
Other discussion?
or how much.
Other discussion?
What
Hearing
was
no-
the, sorry, just a quick question. What was the section where you said that it was missing?
Yeah, if you go,
Is it in this one?
scroll all to the bottom line.
No. Is it this
Yeah.
one? Is this the right document? Or is it the supplemental resolution?
It's whatever was going to be approved tonight, so your ordinance.
Yeah, there's like a couple different documents. Oh, this
I
one.
think that one is blank and it should be filled in. The thing, the experience of play.
It's page. 52. That's exhibit B, the notice of public hearing.
To be the one that was authorized or filled in and posted, not a blank one.
I think I have signed this and we have filled this out before. So I think just updating it with the completed version is what she's requesting.
Yes,
Yeah.
I believe that the,
Yeah, this was all-
now that once it's been adopted, then you can put the completed notice of public hearing as an exhibit.
Are you, oh, hang on, hang on. Our volume isn't good. Go ahead there.
Sorry about that. Yes, once the ordinance is fully adopted and as you
hang on a
approve
second.
it,
Hang on, sorry.
Yeah,
Still
you're
having
very
a roll.
quiet. You're a very quiet voice coming out of a very small box.
Good. Just give me a second. Just like, get this volume up for you. Okay, can you try again, please?
sure, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
There we go, okay. Yes, now that the ordinance has been adopted and finally approved on third reading and put into effect, we can put a fully executed version of that notice of public hearing as an exhibit rather than leave it blank. If that's your wish, we can put the fully executed version. And as far as the amortization schedule, as he said, that won't be ready until we receive the numbers. So that would come at a later date. And one other note, I would ask that the recorder or mayor or someone would need to read the ordinance by title, just the title of it, just for the third reading purposes to make it fully effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me make sure it's the first page, correct? After the table comments.
Mhm.
All right. So this is the Town of Harpersbury Water Revenue Bond Series 2024 Bond Ordinance. Ordinance authorizing the acquisition, construction, and equipping of certain additions, betterments, and improvements to the water work system of the town of Harpersbury, including without limitation, the upgrade and replacement of water lines and/or water meters, and the financing of the cost not otherwise provided therefore through the issuance by the town of Harpersbury of Water Revenue Bonds Series 2024 CNB Bank Inc. in an aggregated principal amount of not to exceed $700,000, defining and prescribing the terms and provisions of the Series 2024 bonds, providing generally for the rights and remedies and securities for the holders of the Series 2024 bonds, authorizing execution and delivery of all documents relating to the issuance of such bonds, and providing when this ordinance shall take effect. I think that's all.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Thank you, council. All right, any other discussion on the motion to approve? All those in favor of the motion to approve, raise your hand. Unanimous. Storm, C?
Yes, discussion and action regarding supplemental resolution to administer the issuance of these bonds. I move to adopt supplemental resolution for Harpersbury Waterworks Bond Ordinance Series 2024 as presented, and to authorize the mayor or recorder to sign the Harpersbury Waterworks Revenue Bonds Series 2024.
Second on the motion, second from George. Discussion on the motion. I was gonna swallow that. Between the laugh, I was between a laugh and a swallow. Holy moly. No discussion. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Passes unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fidalzo.
Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor's comments. I only have a couple small things. As you know, a week ago, I traveled to Charleston and had three distinct meetings. I met with DEP, I met with Department of Highways, and I met with Water Development Authority Executive Director. I previously at a special council meeting advised you of the WDA result of the meeting, so I'm not going to take time this evening about that. As far as the DEP, that's later on in the agenda, and I will tell you that it'll probably take a couple seconds before the status because there is not much status, but I'll wait till then. But let me spend a couple minutes talking about my meeting with Department of Highways. I met with one of the senior officials in the planning division of DOH. Some time ago, it was probably, I want to say the beginning of this year, the Department of Highways submitted a $12.5 million request to a federal program referred to as, quote, nationally significant federal lands and tribal projects program, unquote. And this was submitted and advocated by the Secretary of Tourism, Chelsea Ruby, on our behalf. And she submitted it to the federal government. And what it involved and entailed was to include sidewalks, paving, stormwater from the Bolivar Light down to Shenandoah Street. In addition, it included the Armory Canal project and access to the point. They being Department of Highways, began some very initial design work for this project, thinking that we may succeed in acquiring $12.5 million without a match. Department of Highways, when I was there, just learned about a week prior to my arrival that the project did not make the cut with the federal government. And so DOH now has focusing now back on the High Street project. Now, the High Street project began in 2016 with an $85,000 grant from Governor Tomlin for a study from approximately the town stairway down to Hog Alley, involving the sidewalk. And if you recall, council, there were three alternatives. One of them was kind of splash some paint around to make it look good. Another one was to kind of work within the town's right of way with regard to few feet. And another one was to one-way the street beginning at, Cindy Dunn's, the lady. Now what the Department of Highways have focused on is the middle one. And they are about the design phase. They are around 28% design phase. When DOH reaches a 30% design, they are then required to come with their engineers to do a site visit. I anticipate that they will be here within the next couple of weeks. And when they arrive, they'll be prior to their arrival. I'll notify each of you and invite you to join myself and others down on the site so they can go over the design. RK&K is a contract engineering firm that DOH uses, and they are the ones who are going to be designing this. It will require an alteration with the famous pipe rail that we have, the 1950s vintage iron pipe rail. That will obviously be coming out. They will have to reformate that wall that runs adjacent to the street. They will then stay within their right of way, but there may be an adjustment to the street, 18 or 20 inches or whatever, but within DOH's right of way. They did indicate that they are required to retain ADA compliance, but they are going into the federal government with an exemption request because of the incline, that there's no way that we could make the High Street sidewalk ADA compliant. Now, as far as some of the sidewalks that run from the town steps all the way down, some of them are red brick. Red brick is not ADA compliant, and so there'll be some issues with the sidewalk when they get to that point. One other thing I want to mention, RK&K, they have funds, they being DOH, have funds to complete the full design to take it to 100%. They do not have monies for construction, but this is not abnormal. This is the way things work when you get a grant through the DOH. They generally, when municipalities get grants for these kinds of projects, most of the monies generally go into engineering. Then they acquire the construction monies at a later date. So I'm not concerned about not having construction monies now. The only other thing is that this week, next week, Patty and I met with two DOH contractors this morning. Where's Patty at? Oh, we met. I can't see it. Oh, we met with two engineers that came in. These are actual welders out of Burlington, Vermont. Vermont. Get with the program, Greg. Burlington, West Virginia. They will be here next week. They will be here next week. They are bringing in a welding crew. They are going to do a good fix on the pipe railing. They went there and did a complete inspection of that pipe railing, and they were flabbergasted at the condition of it. They have already taken measurements for steel plates that they're going to be using to bolster up the verticals and the horizontal lines. So they anticipate next week they will be starting, they will be complying with the new noise ordinance. They're going to try to do it between Monday and Thursday and try to get started maybe late afternoon. So when traffic's down there, we'll block one lane of traffic, which is not unusual because we have loading trucks that block one lane of traffic all the time in the mornings there. So I'm kind of excited about that. I know Storm and I have talked about that railing for a long time. It is a dangerous railing, and they said that there is not much supporting that railing. So they'll be here hopefully starting Monday or Tuesday. they hope to be out of here in 3 or 4 days. So that's very good news. Okay, recorder's comments.
So we've received several reports, regarding poor phone and internet quality in town recently. I'm working on investigating the issue further, with our partners from the various phone and internet companies that service our town. If you continue to have issues, please reach out to me via email. I'm kind of trying to gather data, regarding what types of issues are happening and what people's service providers are, and that would be super monumental in getting, the issues resolved. Also currently working on the grant application for archiving our recorder room with all of our historic documents, and moving towards getting all of that digitized. And the hope is that in our new website, we will be able to have access to a lot of our historic records. So moving forward with that. And also this will be also an update for IOC, but we are currently working on updating our website. Received quite a few requests over the last few days regarding finding documents on our current website. I am not the webmaster, so I'm not able to update any documents on our website. Our new website should be launched in the fall, which should resolve a lot of these issues. But we probably will be having periods of blackout as we're moving towards migrating the website to the new provider. This includes our social media pages as well. We'll keep everyone updated through alternative methods. If we do experience any blackouts, we'll try and give you notice before anything like that happens. So we appreciate your patience as we're sort of migrating and moving everything over, but we're looking at probably early fall when we'll have the new website launch.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay.
May I ask a question of the report?
Yeah, go ahead, real quick.
Yes, I'm thankful for you doing all the work on that room because it was a task and a half. And I appreciate you and Melissa working diligently and whoever else helping you with that. So the scanning of the historical documents, we will still retain those historical documents in this room, or will we kind of bequeath them to an archivalist to help us maintain it and archive it so it doesn't get destroyed?
So archival companies will not maintain our physical documents for us. They will scan them, they will digitize them, and then it will be up to us to decide. A lot of that is duplicate, triplicate, where we probably could fit things that have real historic value in a small amount of space.
Right.
Once we're able to cut down.
Will you evaluate it or come to us before it gets thrown away? We don't want to see anything historically that should be really retained by us, or maybe donated to the Jefferson County Historical Archives or something, that those historical beautiful documents are either maintained by this town somehow or donated.
So that's not part of the process of it.
Okay.
All this is doing is just trying to get a company to come in that will, that has experience with historical archiving our documents. What happened then, they will return everything back to us.
And nothing lost and nothing thrown away.
It has nothing to do with the,
All right.
hopefully they won't be.
Okay.
Community announcement, Hilltop, Laurel.
Good evening, Laurel Szymanski, project manager of the Hilltop. I have a short report update, very significant though. We had our TIF that we've been waiting for approved at the state level by the West Virginia DED. And it is now back in the hands of the county commission, which will have a final vote. So we're very close to having that finalized.
Thank you, Laura.
Roll question.
No questions, George. No. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm sorry, I'm thinking it was public comment. I'm there. Go ahead, ask a question, George, real quick.
Hi. First question, do you have an idea of the number of rooms in the current design for the hotel? 121.
Thank you. Thank you, George. National Park Service Superintendent?
Real quick, Greg, if I could just follow up on the comment about the DOH grant. So the Park Service was involved in the scoping of that project briefly. Sorry, you didn't get it. We are very anxious to work with you on future grant opportunities, though, with the Department of Highways. If I might ask here to be involved when they come to their site visits, we would really like to understand what they're thinking about out there. There are a lot of opportunities through the National Park Service that I think we can help you as as your neighborhood federal agency on some of these. So if you have ideas for future grants through the Department of Highways, please bring me up and let's chat about it so we can see if we can combine forces. First, I want to express my thanks to the town police department for some ongoing responses the last several weeks and for their information sharing with our rangers. I especially want to call out Sergeant Armin Trout for his assist at the train station on Saturday. One of our rangers was dealing with an altercation there. We appreciate his support. And I also want to thank Chief Brown for helping us with our continuous island investigation. I really just have a few project updates for you. It's going to be a very busy summer in Lower Town. We have two projects on Shenandoah Street. One started today. That is getting new gutters on most of our buildings in Lower Town, not all, but many, to include the John Brown Court. Some of these gutter replacements are going to require sidewalk closure for a short period of time. They're going to move around. You're going to see scaffolding moving. You're going to see the gutter guys from building to building. We expect the gutter project to finish in August, and then maybe move up to Cantil and they'll be out of commission. Starting in August, in early August, we do have the anticipated HVAC replacement project. That's at buildings 43 through 45, where the liquor store was until very recently. And again, we do expect this to cause some temporary disruptions to traffic on Shenandoah Street, but contractors understand that they are to minimize that to the extent that they can. And then currently, I think, Mr. Mayor, I know that you are aware, I don't know if the council is aware, we have a roofing window and siding repair project underway at our museum offices on Lancaster Street. If you do have any concerns about the noise, we are trying to keep good faith with your noise ordinance and keep the noise levels to a minimum there in that neighborhood before 8 o'clock. But if you have any concerns or complaints, let me know, please. Finally, the siding repairs on the Burton's Clock Shop are complete. We are done with that project. Yeah. Curb repairs at Shenandoah and High Street. I know we're all waiting for that. Our guys are ready to go. It's been so hot that we're waiting for things to cool down a little bit so they can be out there safely. And finally, this is a little ways out, but next spring, we're going to start, we're hoping to start repairs on the train station tower. And we've had some architectural investigation there over the last year. We're going to be working on final designs for that repair and rehabilitation. And then hopefully we'll have that contracted and have that contract awarded early in the spring. So I do not yet know, and I want to be really clear about this with everybody, until we get further down that scoping and design phase, I do not know what kind of disruptions there will be related to that project with the train station. But I will do it.
I'll mention one thing, Superintendent, that you and I discussed, and that I will be coordinating a meeting council with West Virginia Rail Authority regarding the condition of that tunnel that goes under the tracks. It's kind of graffiti laden and laden with other things also. And so I've been in contact with the director of West Virginia Rail. She will be coming here, meeting with Tanya, myself, and Chris, I guess, and anybody else. That's fine. To discuss some alternatives to enhance security of that vital area that goes underneath the tracks on westbound trains. So I appreciate the superintendent's participation in that. And I know she's as concerned about it as I am. It's kind of an embarrassment for visitors to come off the train and have to wade through some things to get over to your wonderful park. So I wanted to mention that. Any other questions for the superintendent? Josh, Zach?
I just wanted to, speaking of the train station, thank the Park Service for their efforts in helping the response to the fire that we had on the tracks. I know you're helping direct traffic, and it was very helpful. Thank you.
Chris?
Two things. One on that underpass. I know it's been in the works. I guess Amtrak is in charge of it, the accessibility issue for years and years. And what you're talking about doesn't sound like,
No, this is the project I'm talking about is to the train station building. So
Okay.
it's the tower that sort of leads over.
okay. I hope if anything starts happening on that accessibility that we can talk, because I have some real concerns about bicycle issues there, along with that could be included very easily. And the other thing on those, that cooperation with grants, expect me to knock at your door about one that's already underway with the Armory Canal Trail. And I don't know whether you had any discussions with DOH about our wonderful friends at CSX about that, but anyway, we need help.
Thank you, Chris. Any other questions for the superintendent?
Just in a similar vein with the DOH not covering Washington Street, I'll definitely be looping you guys in on stormwater up and down Washington Street and other parts of town.
Thank you, Superintendent. Council, any of you have any community announcements or anything?
I do. So this bears on it's good news about having trust in our public officials. So last year there were some attacks involving the former town council member Christian Petronis, and a complaint was made to the West Virginia Ethics Commission. And I'm happy to report that it was determined that the accusations were without merit. And on May 23rd, 2024, staff appearing for West Virginia Ethics Commission notified Mr. Petronis that we have finished our investigation, concluded that he did not violate the West Virginia Ethics Act as alleged. Accordingly, we are closing the investigation. I think a lesson we can take from this episode is our community should not give fuel to these kind of rumors that led to this. They hurt people in the community at large by manufacturing distrust, and it discourages residents from participating in town governance. And finally, the Ethics Commission does not report those who make complaints or have good reason for that. But anyone who might know who this person might have been would be well advised to be skeptical the next time they come around with rumors. Thank you.
Thank you. Community announcement?
I'd like to tag on to that, and something I asked the mayor day one is to help squash the rumors in town hurting people. There have been rumors hurting me and other members on town council and on planning commission, and I would like that stopped too. It doesn't make us feel good to be a public official when people spread rumors and lies and inaccuracies about one's credentials, about one's background, and about the purpose of why they became an elected official. I would truly like that to stop for all of us at this table, because we are your elected officials and we're here representing you. And it hurts us that when these rumors do get back to us. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Zach?
Unrelated community announcement, the Harpers Ferry Parks and Rec Commission would invite everybody to join us on Saturday for the rededication of the Children's Park on Washington Street. This will be at 6 p.m. to try and avoid the heat of midday, and hot dogs, both meat-based and plant-based, will be available. This will help celebrate the hard work that's been done to spruce up the park and celebrate all those who help volunteer to get that done. So come on and join us.
Thank you, Zach.
Yep.
Thank you for all your work.
Of course.
All right, now let's move to,
Thank you, Josh.
thank you, Storm. Approval of minutes. We've got 3 minutes.
Yeah,
We've got 3 minutes.
we can do this fast. So starting with the regular minutes, Storm pointed out I had put bed and breakfasts in instead of bed and breakfast in. So that has been corrected, but that was the only feedback I have received regarding the regular meeting minutes. So because of that, I'd like to move to approve the regular meeting minutes for June 10th, 2024 with the correction of.
Second on the motion. Second from George. Discussion on the motion to approve. Roberta?
Yes, I apologize. I have to abstain. I have not, I was not present at that meeting.
Okay, other discussion. All those in favor of the motion to approve, raise your hand. 6 votes.
Okay. And then for, I guess we can do both special meetings together, or should we do it separately?
Do them, separately.
And then I had no suggested adjustments for the June 12th meeting. So I move to approve the, special meeting minutes for June 12th, 2024 as presented.
Second, we have a second from Chris. Discussion on the motion to approve.
Again, sir, I need to abstain. I was not present.
Other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve? 6-0.
Keep it all up. And then for the special meeting minutes for July 3rd, I had neglected to mention that Storm was the one who made the motion for the WDA bid rejection. That has been corrected on the minutes. So I would like to move to approve the July 3rd, 2024 meeting minutes with that adjustment made for special meeting minutes.
Second on the motion, second from Chris. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion to approve? Unanimous. Excuse me. Okay, now we move to Zach.
Yeah.
Or Josh.
Either way. So this is item, well, it's been moved up, but we're at discussion and action on town council's input regarding lot line adjustment variances under Article 172701 for proposed lot line adjustments, Block B, Washington Street. And this deals with lots 4, 5, and 6 on Block B. I'll try and take a moment to walk us through this. This is a request that came to the Planning Commission. We've talked about this at 2 different Planning Commission meetings. The first the ordinances in Article 17 are a bit difficult to parse, but if you follow through, simple minor subdivisions, which lot line adjustments are considered minor subdivisions, are handled under 1727. And 172702, which is what sort of gives we've called it the quick yes or no in the past, involves assessing the lots based on their size and relationship to Hal Brown map. At the first Planning Commission meeting, we decided that this particular request did not meet the requirements of 172402, and then said we would have a special meeting to discuss it further, which we then did subsequently. And so the reason it's here tonight is that in Article 172701, the ordinance says, I'm going to read it just so we're all on the same page, whenever the tract to be subdivided is of unusual size or shape, or is surrounded by such development or unusual conditions, that strict application of the requirements in this article will result in unnecessary hardship or inequity, the Planning Commission, with approval of the Town Council, may modify or vary requirements of design, et cetera, et cetera. So the subdivider may develop the property in a reasonable manner, provided that public welfare and interests of the town are protected and the purpose and intent of these regulations are preserved. So in order to approve the lot line adjustments as requested, which you have maps of that are color coordinated, it would require several variances. The applicant has provided 2 different options. Option B is the one that was discussed at public comment. And by my count, that would require at least 5 or 6 variances, which the Town Council would have to approve, Planning Commission approving. So if that is as clear as mud, I'll hold there.
Did you restate the last sentence, which would require?
So Plan B, which is highlighted in yellow in the map packet, from our assessment, a Planning Commission would require at least 5 variances. These include a variance to the minimum width of lot 4 to 50 feet instead of 60 feet, a variance to the minimum width of lot 5 to 50 feet instead of the standard 60 feet. The big one is a variance to reduce the setback for the current structure, which is a historic brick structure on lot 6, it would be 6 feet from the new lot line as opposed to the standard 10. And then in addition, the Plan B calls for what are sometimes called flag or panhandle lots, which are an unconventional or non-conforming shape, as the ordinances would say.
Bill, what you had said actually was what you requested the council action.
Sorry, yes. So this before us, the Planning Commission voted in majority to send this to Town Council for Town Council's input. The Planning Commission cannot grant these variances on their own. So the issue before us is whether the Town Council feels that the requested variances are in keeping with, sorry, providing that public welfare and interests of the town are protected and the purpose and intent of the zoning ordinances are preserved. So it's up to us whether this would qualify, and then it would require a vote of the town council to empower the planning commission to continue.
Zach, did you, did the PC discuss the pros and cons of A and B?
We did.
And did the PC come up with a lean toward one or the other?
That it's tricky because we really wanted town council input on this. I can say that in the past we have met with Kinsale, our legal counsel, and he advised that the creation of these flag or panhandle lots, which are non-conforming, they're not rectangular, it's not advised. It sort of opens the door to other lots in town being divided up in ways that allows lots to reach streets. In this case, it's a sort of a panhandle so that all 3 lots can touch Columbia Street and have driveway access. On the Hal Brown map, these are 3 rectangular lots that don't touch, only one touches Columbia Street. So Kinsale did advise against the development of panhandle lots. So in that sense, I think planning would lean more towards the first one, but that still has its own variances required.
And we went, you know, I sent you some questions, and I asked Zach, what did the records reflect going from the Hal Brown, which was, what color is that?
So this is something
Hal Brown, blue.
Blue.
How did we go from the blue to the current? What did the records indicate on that? And the response was that?
I haven't found any official records as to when or how that exactly happened, but my best guess is that it occurred sometime in the 1960s or 70s when the smaller house was built on the now 70 by 70 lot, which itself is non-conforming. However, again, the fact that there is one non-conforming lot present does not set a precedent to allow us to create new non-conforming lots without the variance process.
Zach, I was wondering why, particularly on the 6-foot setback, why that would not be sent to the BZA rather than planning commission.
So my interpretation, this is again with Kinsale, is that because of the way Article 1727(01) and 2 are written, it falls to the planning commission to grant lot line adjustment variances. And because the structure already exists, it's the movement of the lot line that creates that setback variance, so it falls to planning.
Got it. Why are we just dealing with the lot line adjustment at this moment?
That is correct. So this process only deals with the lines on the map, not with any construction or, in this case, there is a structure present, which we have to consider, but typically it's just the lines on the map.
Roberta.
Yes, sir, and I'd like to have a discussion by everyone before we have any kind of motion set forward on the table. And Zach, you were reading 1727.01, is that correct?
I was, yes.
Okay, however, you did not conclude the last sentence. Let me read the last sentence of that section. Provided, however, that no variance shall be allowed for prohibited land uses, and a variance based upon unique conditions shall not be granted when any unique condition was created or contributed to by the subdivider. So what that means is any self-created hardships cannot be granted a variance. What I have done for you is prepared my report, and this is my report, in my opinion, of what's been presented to us. So in short, I'll read it, my cover letter, and then I have evidence to back it up. So I regret I cannot support nor approve the subdivision of lots as presented in Plan A or Plan B. For as they are presented, they are in compliant with the Corporation of Harpers Ferry Code of Ordinances, articles and sections as follows. Article 1722, Article 1723, Article 1724, 1725, 1727, 1322, 1324, and 1326. Upon deeper review, there may be other requirements that need to be in compliance, and the list I have included here in this letter is not all inclusive. In fact, they don't even meet 1302, the definition of setbacks, and I'll demonstrate that here in a second. I gave a consistent finding when these 2 lots were presented to the Planning Commission in February of 2024. They were not compliant with the codes at that point either when presented to the Planning Commission. This report was attached as my report and not of the town council or of the planning commission. This is my report as a town council member. And was asked to include, I had asked for these reports from the planning commission to be included in the planning commission's meeting minutes and be forwarded to town council way back when, in February. I appreciate Zach Morris's, our planning commission president's initial review of this information for your consideration. However, the subdivision creates a self-created hardship, creates numerous nonconformities, creates well beyond the minimal request for possible variance considered. Zach lists about 7. However, there are probably about 6 more we can add to this, provided they're going to develop property as they can per our code. They also do not follow the West Virginia DOT standards for driveway clearances and entrances. And okay, so actually, I would like to submit my report to the town recorder, this letter, along with all my attachments, documents, that they be attached and entered into the record and included as attachments to this meeting minutes. Thank you.
Zach, would you respond to what you just heard?
Yeah, we only reviewed this under 172701 and 02. I can say that the exact wording of 1701, where it says the town council, the planning commission, with approval of town council, may modify or vary requirements of design, we interpreted to refer to section 1724 design principles, which is still in the lot. I think it technically falls in the major subdivision section, but it's the only place it's mentioned. And so within that, there are 1724-02 lots and build to lines. So essentially, we could, with the appropriate permissions, grant variances to all setbacks, providing setbacks, restrictions on buildings to be located within setback lines, and the area of lots. So I think that the concerns are valid, but my interpretation is that in theory, the town council could permit planning commission to grant a variance on any of that. If I can pause interpreting from the planning commission and speak as a town council member, if it was just 1 or maybe 2 variances, I could see the reasoning here, but because it requires so many, I don't think I'm in favor of this. My personal interpretation, especially when it comes to the density parts of this, are to keep the residential housing density similar or the same as it was on the Howell Brown map. And the issue here is created because the historic structure in this case is built over one of those lot lines. And so to adjust them and grant these variances creates 2 smaller lines and the ability that the applicant is seeking to build 2 additional structures where historically there's only been 1 or 2. And so that's where I stand personally, but I wanted to make sure that I'm separate from explaining what came from the planning commission.
George?
Yes, thank you. I would like to spring immediately from directly from Zach's comments and say that I believe that there's a grave variance issue with it, and it's the one related to 1727-02, item A, and I have copies of that here from the paper if anybody wants to. You have 5 copies if that's helpful to you. And the language I'm focused on today is, it says the exemptions may be permitted for minor subdivision of the following procedures. And the first one basically says you can't do it if this is the case. The adjustment of the lot lines for 1 or more lots or records shall not result in an increase in housing density greater than 1 residential structure per original lot as shown on the SL Brown map. And right there, here's the fact I think this is great because, as you know, I believe that it's the low density of our housing is one of the characteristics that we need to keep historically, and where it is. Some places are built, especially downtown, very densely, but the majority of the town is not the case. And this 1 house per 1 held-down lot is our line of defense for that. If this were granted, then what we're doing is allowing somebody to draw a lot line to create the space to build a house. Solely for that purpose. What this person has.
George, excuse me, George, direct your comments to me or the case.
What this person has purchased with these 3 lots, for better or for worse, is 1 very historic house that was built straddling two lots. And in fact, there's one house on two lots, and there are other cases that are out there. And then they have another building lot that they could most certainly build upon, given other issues out of the way. If this were to be passed, someone could take an uninhabited lot, just cut it in half, and put two houses on it. You could take a Hal-Brown lot and do that.
Thanks, Norm.
The logic would, the next step would be that, and I have grave concerns. Now, it's not to say that I don't have other concerns with things like the setback or a can of worms opening up there and creating a 50-foot lot that somebody's been trying to build a house on with setbacks.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you, George. Storm?
Yeah, so I actually believe it does not affect densities on that land. There were 3 lots before and there would be 3 lots after. However, I believe that the way our ordinances are currently written do not give us latitude to make this lot line adjustment. First, I'm going to read 1701.03, interpretation, conflicts, and severability, which says the provisions that are more restrictive and that impose a higher or greater standard shall control what happens. In other words, if there's something that's more exact, that rules over something that is fuzzier. And in this case, is there some reason or other to grant an exception? So we have that says you have to go with the more restrictive rule. And then under 1727, I believe 02, where it talks about lots not being smaller than 60 feet by 130 feet. That is pretty clear that it has to meet that dimension, and in this case, it's not. So that's the more restrictive rule. So I think it's pretty narrow, not getting into anything else about the other variances that are required. And I do agree with George that the intent behind this set of rules was to maintain the rhythm, the character. How does it look and feel when you come to town? But I feel like there's a very kind of narrow reason why we cannot.
Okay. Thanks, Norm. Any other general discussion, Chris?
Yeah. However, wasn't the change to non-conforming lots done when, aren't they already non-conforming?
So currently there are 2 lots, one of which is a non-conforming lot. I believe that change happened probably prior to the existence of Article 17 in its entirety. And then in talking with legal counsel, the existence of a non-conforming lot does not mean we should grant another based on our current ordinances.
I was hoping the applicant would be here to ask about this, because really our ability to grant variances, to make adjustments, depends on need to some extent. And I'm hearing about other houses proposed, but it seems that access to a building that already exists is a concern.
Roberta?
A few more points, sir, if I may. Let's draw it included in your packet. So let's talk about 1302 or 1304.02 that they would not even be able to comply with. So the existing house, which is a historical home, if they lit that lot line where it is, we don't even know what the setback is going to be for that. Okay, we don't even know what the rear setback is going to be, if that's going to be in compliance, depending on how they divide this 30-foot access. Why do they need 30-foot access utilities? Had they didn't justify that. But once this is done, this house now becomes a non-conforming home, non-conforming structure. And by that definition, it cannot be enlarged or added onto. So we've limited the ability for that owner to add on to that beautiful house if they decided to. Or the garage that they're going to knock down, where are they going to put it now? They are required to have 2 parking spaces within the buildable area for each house. The blue box I'm showing you, by definition of our codes, is the buildable area. So they have to get a house and 2 cars within that buildable area. How is that buildable area determined? By 1304.02, paragraphs B, 1, 2, and 3. It has to do with the front setbacks, the side setbacks, and the rear setbacks. The rear setbacks and the front setbacks are determined by block average or what's based on the historical structure adjacent or abutting. Across the street or whatever. Right now, we're gonna look at the abutting structure. The front is set by this, the rear is set by this. So it limits this developer, and I hope they understand that. They have to build this house within this footprint. I'm just demonstrating to you. The side setbacks, we don't even know what they are because we have to now go down the block to determine what the other historical structures have. So his footprint for buildable, I've already calculated just what I'm showing you is about 1,200 and some odd square feet.
Okay,
Just to clarify,
George,
One last reply, to comment on what Chris said. The existing 1970 structure at the front, current steam landlocked and has no access. We granted a short time ago permission to knock that down along the garage. So that is not an issue in the current state.
thank you. Nina,
just to clarify, I can't add any documentation into the record without a majority vote. For Robert's rules of order.
Yeah, the
Correct.
rule is that.
I mean, that's just sort of the general acceptance is that minutes are just a reflection of motions that were made during the meeting. And if there are additional documentation that has been requested to be added, we can take a majority vote to add that documentation in. Unless we have another sort of standard that's been created within town, but I don't think we have a standard.
we do not, and what you just stated is in our administrative order.
So
For meeting minutes.
No, for adding things into the minutes. You wanted something into the record. What Nina just stated is accurate.
we still
Okay.
have a majority vote.
Could you present that to me, now, so I have that information in front of me, after the meeting?
Sure, there's no, I mean, there's no official documentation about this, but there's a bunch of, yeah, I can,
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that the information I presented and the letter and what I've asked, to submit the documentation I presented today regarding my review and how this, lot split and subdivision does not meet several articles of our code and may cause, variance problems and issues for the developer. I'd like, to make a motion that that document in its entirety, be admitted into the record and attached to the meeting minutes. May I have a second?
Is there a second? George, any discussion? Storm?
Yeah, I wouldn't be comfortable without prior review of effectively putting the town council on the line for any report, particularly that report was not asked for by the body.
I have an amendment. I haven't had time to read this, so I can bring this up when we are approving the minutes for August, when we've all had time to look at it as to whether or not we want to include it in the minutes, but I have not had time to review this either, so I'm uncomfortable with voting for something that I have not had a chance to read.
And, Nina, my recollection is it a 2/3 vote to include?
So, there's no standard really, but just
I think it is. There is, it's annotated in Robert's rules.
from what I've seen, majority vote or unanimous consent are
Okay.
the,
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. Nina, you're making a case for,
that we postpone.
you want to amend, you want to amend?
Yeah.
You
Okay,
have an
put your amendment.
My
on.
amendment is that we postpone the vote for adding additional documentation to the minutes until after we've had time to review with the meeting minute approval in August.
Is there a second on the amendment? Second from George, discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the amendment to the amendment?
There's no amendment for the amendment. So the amendment, please.
Now the amended. Now the motion.
It would be delayed, right?
Right.
People did too.
We're delayed until the minutes come out,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Everybody's in agreement with that.
Right, so the motion is what?
Motion is to review adding, Roberta's letter to the meeting minutes, at the August meeting at the time of approval of the July minutes.
I'd like to take the motion as I made it. May I state the motion as I made it?
No, we've spent entirely too much time on this already, so I'm gonna move on.
I think you should withdraw promotion because this is postponed. Wouldn't that be the way?
No,
No.
Okay.
I would like to repeat it as I.
Okay, what is your motion?
We're gonna wait until the minutes come out, and then we're gonna take a vote on one of the minutes from now. Is that what you're proposing?
Yeah, so we'll keep this, we'll add it to the, to under the meeting minutes to vote on specifically adding this to the meeting minutes.
Right, and that's what we're gonna do. We're spending too much time on this stuff. Okay, and now, we are at the point of, Zach entertaining a motion regarding the submittal for the lot line adjustment. How did you see this proceeding?
That's a good question.
There was no motion, right?
I didn't submit.
No,
or-
no motion yet.
What do you think what kind of guidance do you think planning commission would appreciate?
Well, based on 172701, I think that town council should say in some official capacity, I guess by a motion, whether they approve or do not approve, granting planning the ability to make the list of variances. And it sounds like we're leaning towards not, but I'm not sure. We've never been here before, so I'm not entirely sure how this goes.
Okay, so you're not thinking that this council is going to say yay or nay to this or yay or nay to the other one? Is that what
Well,
you're-
I guess we could take them individually, but it would fall the planning commission to approve the plan. It falls to town council to approve or disapprove the variances associated with those plans.
I'd like to make a motion.
Wait. Go ahead, Zach, continue.
So in that case, concerning there's at least three with Plan A: the minimum width of lot 4, minimum width of lot 5, and variance to reduce the setback for structure to 6 feet. We could vote to approve or deny those variances, I think.
Or, oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to, make a motion on this, but
Point of order, please.
Now, I've got the floor,
No,
Roberta,
I raised
okay?
my hand like
I've got
we're
the floor.
supposed to, before anyone
Zach,
else is
continue.
asked to speak.
Zach still has the floor, Roberta.
I understand.
Okay, let me run this meeting,
Yes.
okay? Thank you.
I would like to,
All right,
I'd
go
like
ahead,
to
Zach.
have.
I'm not finished. I'm
Uh,
not clear where I'm thinking you're going with this.
I didn't have a specific path necessarily in mind when submitting this. The planning commission did want town council's input, specifically on whether these variances were warranted or not. So my suggestion would be that town council make a motion in favor or against the variances
For
requested.
each one separately? Is that,
We could do that, yes.
okay, okay. Now, Roberta, I'll recognize you.
Thank you, sir. I think, making a motion is premature. I think I'd like to make a motion to postpone any deliberation on any variances until all members of town council has at least reviewed at least the one report that has been put on the agenda, for next month. That gives them a good insight, and I would like to see a workshop of all town council members and planning commission together to discuss this. I don't think we're ready to make any kind of decision, one way or the other, whether variances should be granted or not granted. We do not have enough information, and you've actually postponed reading of this report, and I would like each town council member to read the reports entered into the record.
Okay, Storm and then Chris.
I would suggest that at this point, we are asked for guidance. I don't think we necessarily need to make a motion if it could be conveyed to planning that for various reasons that we did not feel it met with the standards necessary to grant it. That way it's keeping it in the process, coming through planning and planning either deciding not to do it or bringing it to council.
Okay, Chris?
I don't feel ready to make a motion, on advising. However, I do feel that any damage to the Hal Brown map was done many years ago. And that, Plan A should be looked at pretty carefully. I think council's advised to avoid the panhandling for, because of concerns about what it might lead to in the future is a good one. But I think planning should look at that, Plan A and see if, I mean, I would depend, I think, on planning's woodshedding of that a little bit more than we have the opportunity for with the applicant. And incidentally, I think that, any documents that have been passed around tonight ought to be going to the applicant as well, so that they can, and in any of this, need and, need is a concern. So, the applicant should be able to, address that directly to planning.
Yes, my feelings are, one, with regard to Roberta's report, she has given us a summary prior to this of its findings. And that its submission and the reading by all of us is more a support for whatever decision we make, and it will stand as a support. And that we can reach a decision before that time, before we actually read the specifics of it. It stands as documentation. The second is I'm very concerned for the owner, that if we put this off, we'll leave them twisting in the wind. And this will drag into months, and that doesn't serve the owner. I feel for him. I've been in that situation in the state of Vermont one time when it went on and on and on. I think the totality of what Storm brought up and Zach brought up and Roberta brought up and my own humble opinions, the totality leads us to overwhelmingly understand that this is not going forward. So as a result, I do have a motion. And it's in line with what he requested, and I wish to make that at this time. Thank you very much. I move that the town council deny the variances for the proposed lot line adjustments of Block B on Washington Street.
Second on the motion.
I'd like to amend that
Second
motion.
from Zach. Discussion on the motion.
I'd like to amend that motion that there was no variances requested. So I think asking for us to deny variance requested, there's been no variances requested.
I thought that was fine.
I believe it could be denied, not just on the grounds of the lot line dimensions.
Right. Okay. You want to put an amendment on the floor?
Okay, I'll pick that up. I would like to put a motion to amend, George's, motion to strike the words that a variance has been requested and basically deny the proposed lot split based on not complying with 1727 of our code of ordinances, all sections.
Point of information here.
Go ahead, George.
Roberta, may I simplify your matter? If we just draw a line through my language, I mean, you take three words out of it, and we'd accomplish. I move that the town council deny the proposed lot line adjustments of Block B and Washington Street. That takes away the language of the lot line adjustment of Block B
I think we need to be more specific also with
on Washington Street.
Okay, so you got an amendment to the amendment.
Well, no,
To the
suggestions made.
Motion. Hopefully to,
that next suggestion. We scratch it all and start over. Let's start over. And I think we can come up with something very clear.
All right. Again, we're spending entirely too much time.
You're a great man with language here. You got some simple language.
I got Zach to my left with his hand
I'll
raised.
withdraw my amendment to George's motion. George, would you like
I
to?
withdraw my motion.
Great. Zach,
I move that the town council recommend the planning commission deny the proposed lot line adjustments.
is there a second on the motion? We have a second from George. His hand is very high. Discussion on the motion.
Of Block B.
Yes, to be specific, lots
And
4,
could
5,
you
and 6.
list lots 4, 5, and 6?
We'll add that. Any other discussion? All right, so read it one more time with a lot of data added.
Yes, please.
Move, I'm speaking for him.
Since you read it
Move
now.
that the town council recommend to the planning commission
Recommend that the planning commission.
deny the proposed lot line adjustment
For block 4, 5, and 6.
block
Lot
lots 4, 5, and 6 on Washington Street.
All right, and we have a second on that, and discussion, any further discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries 6-1.
Thank you. We will take that up at our next regular.
All right, all right. I have a lot of patience, George. All right, Zach, I hope your next agenda, as long as that is. All right, all right, so now, I believe we're back on track to, am I correct, council? We're now with budget and finance. Storm, would you take the helm on this?
Yes. Budget and finance section, not quite as deep as last month, but it's still all right. Discussion and action regarding fiscal year 24 library arts funding. Town council previously approved arts program funding for the local public library fiscal year 2024. The spending and its documentation are now complete, and they're asking for the funds to be distributed. This funding is separate from funds that were already distributed to the library for the regular operations. So I move to disperse $2,330.96 for 906 Arts and Humanities for fiscal year 24 to the Bolivar Harpers Public Library for Arts Program.
Second on the motion, second from Zach. Discussion on the motion to approve. All those in favor of the motion to approve? Motion is unanimous. Storm?
Discussion and action regarding women's club funding. Town council previously approved funding to help the women's club with an electrical upgrade for fiscal year 24. The project and its documentation are complete, and they're now asking for the funds to be distributed to them. And thank you for the women's club for that wonderful 4th of July celebration. I move to distribute $1,000 out of 906 historic preservation for fiscal year 25. Sorry, I misspoke. To the women's club for the electrical upgrade at the women's club.
A second from Chris. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion? Unanimous. George, did you vote? I'm sorry. You did not vote. All right. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is 5-0.
501, I refuse.
All right. Number 3.
Sorry.
Storm.
Were you recused as well? Or did
Yeah.
I not?
Or, no,
Oh, so it's a no,
Abstain.
abstain?
no,
Oh, no.
you just didn't say all opposed.
All opposed. Okay. So we have 5-1.
Discussion.
Go ahead, Storm.
Discussion and action regarding disposal of maintenance department equipment. So town council had previously approved the purchase of a new professional grade riding mower for the maintenance department and required that the old one be sold. The new one has been purchased, and budget and finance did find the recommendation was to do that if it comported with our laws. Ordinances do not specifically allow the town to sell property valued at $1,000 for below market value. However, we did discuss the process could be putting it out to bid at town hall, make it open to the public for a period of time. I would suggest 1 week, and then for it to be purchased by the highest bidder. So I move that the old riding mower be posted at town hall for sale for 1 week, and to then sell it to the highest bidder.
Second on the motion. Second from Chris. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed? None. Motion carries unanimous. Storm?
Discussion and action regarding purchase of surge protectors for town hall HVAC.
And we have an updated quote now, which is a little over 3,100, and that's for the 6 units to be installed.
Okay, so previously, in June, we had approved $2,500 for the upgrade. Turns out there were more.
There was one more needed that we
One
didn't
more
have in the count.
So there's currently 2,500 that's been allocated. You said the current bid is now.
A little over 3,100, so you don't allow a bit for,
And this came in after budget finance, so we did not have the number
right.
previous to that. So the difference is about $1,000.
Yes.
So I moved to allocate an additional $1,000 out of 440 City Hall building maintenance for fiscal year 2025 for surge protectors for town hall HVAC units.
Second on the motion, second from Zach, discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed, motion carries unanimous.
That's all I got. Now, Treasurer.
Great job. Debbie,
All right, so this evening's financials are for the end of May 2024, which is 92% of the year. In the general fund, this is Division 5, operating income is at 103%, and budgeted expense, and the expenses are just about 100%. Division 6, which will be coming for next month, will bring this all more into line as we kind of fine tune the end of the year there. In waterworks, you're looking at Division 3, water billing income is at approximately 93%, and expenses 88%, and we are showing a lot of a little over 44,000. Next month's report will include Division 4 for water to close out the year.
any questions for Debbie?
Move to accept the financial reports for May 2024 as presented.
Is there a second? Second from Chris, discussion on the motion to accept financials. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed, motion carries unanimous.
The next item is just to update the purchasing threshold guidance, which of course are adopted for each fiscal year. The adaptation that we have merely addresses the dates to make them in compliance. Budget finance will look at the details regarding the amount as we revise the first fiscal 25 budget division towards the end of the month.
Move to approve the fiscal year 25 purchasing threshold guidelines.
Second on the motion. Second from Zach.
And I would just like to tag on the end of that is that we are required by state code by the end of this month to submit our first revision for fiscal 25 to adjust our carry forward balances, which I do anticipate will be required. So please do anticipate a special meeting just at the end of the month to make that approval and submission to the auditor's office.
Thank you, Debbie. Is there any discussion on the action regarding FY 25 purchasing threshold guidelines? We're good? No, we haven't voted yet.
So sorry.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Opposed?
Abstain.
We have 6-0. Approval of invoices and purchases.
There
Okay. Thank you, Debbie.
You guys have the police report. I'd just like to remind that we should be checking on our elderly on heat that we're going through the community, that we just need to check on the elderly, Harpsbury and Bolivar, make sure they're staying hydrated. They're not in distress.
Keep them, I thank you for keeping it true. Hopefully, provide her to keep an eye on you. Speaking to
Roberta?
Thank you, Mayor. May I ask a question of the Chief Brown?
Certainly.
Yes, Chief Brown, thank you. And I hope that the emergency response to that fire on the bridge was excellent. I'm looking forward to seeing how that was all handled. But you have something like a report called out of car. What does that mean?
So we just marked out of the car, we might have marked out at 7-Eleven, we're just saying we're out of the car, we're not broke. So that's all that means.
Okay,
It's
well,
so dispatch knows they can't see their screen.
okay,
They can hear the radio, but they can't see the communication on the screen.
okay. I was like, wow, that's good. Someone's out of the car and they're getting.
Yeah, we do it all the time.
This month, we had so many because starting Armitage was working on a project for the mayor of distributing notifications to the sector.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the chief? Thank you for your patience, Chief. You got your ordinance. If there's any questions you want me to ask Kevin. Water Department Steve?
June, we filtered 6.3 million gallons. We sold, we billed for 3.6. Our account for percentage was 45%. Tanks went from anywhere 68%, maximum 89%. Median and were both just under 80% tank level. For a little bit about the CSX Pestle fire. Some of the initial news reports said they didn't have any water. It's because the incident command, as I understand it, was set up across the river in Maryland. They don't have any hydrants on that side of the river. And when the Friendship Fire responded, they hooked up to the Pump Street Waterworks hydrant on Potomac Street. As I understand, they have good flow, good pressure, and have an estimate somewhere between 8,000 and 10,000 gallons per fire. Fixed a leak on Gilbert Street that we believe was perhaps caused by Potomac Edison's tree contractor. That one probably cost about 24,000 gallons by the time we got fixed. We just today repaired a leak on Day Street that was a valve that had gotten run over, and that was connecting Landing Street. So we're hoping to see a moderate improvement in tanks. Question?
Zach?
I just have a quick one. During the fire response, they did hook up to a hydrant that was down by the shops and then across Potomac Street up and across the bridge. You said the water pressure was good, but would you at any rate recommend an additional hydrant closer to the station so that they have easier water access in the future in case the fire had been closer to the station and the station was on fire?
And something I could, certainly talk to, Chris Higgin or chief, about that. You have to look at what size line we bring over to the fire station. We have to be going to expand that service. We have to talk to the park about, bringing the line across and all of the, issues that we're, involved in that.
Okay.
I do not know what if there was a analysis after the fire, in downtown, what was that, a decade ago? And, what the
Any other question for Steve? Thank you, Steve. Mike, do you have anything?
Thank you. About 10 days ago, on the 30th, I attended a kickoff meeting of the PFA's action plan meeting. And the meeting followed the approval by the US EPA of an environmental justice government-to-government grant awarded to the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection, the West Virginia Rivers Coalition, and FairShare. This is a 3-year project that's aimed at community engagement in environmental justice communities. The aim of the project is to develop replicable local models of how communities threatened by PFAS and technical experts can work together to reduce PFA levels in affected communities. To that end, the project aims to create 15 PFA action plans in 11 communities in the North and Eastern Panhandle. And the Eastern Panhandle, there are 6 communities, including Harpers Ferry. The project includes some 20 NGOs in Jefferson County, Blue Ridge Watershed Coalition, Eastern Panhandle Green Coalition, the Harpers Ferry Water Commission, the Potomac Valley Audubon Society. Community outreach and engagement in development of PFA action plans is critical to this project. To that end, participating communities, including us, will have to figure out how to engage in the community. As part of that process, we will have to appoint a community ambassador.
who will take the lead in our community. That community ambassador will be expected to undergo roughly 120 hours of training by the project and will be reimbursed with a stipend of $2,600. The next step in this project is a project design meeting at the end of the month that Steve, Chris, and I will attend. I plan to take this to the Water Commission to figure out how to proceed from there, unless you all have some advice.
Council? Go ahead, Roberta.
May I just suggest generally, I just listened to a wonderful documentary on the internet regarding PFAS and PFOS. The state of Michigan is in the forefront of doing everything you just stated, so maybe you can look at some of the samples by the state of Michigan. Stewart, Florida was just awarded $12 billion, and that's with a B, dollars to fix their PFAS contamination system. The money's there. 3M awarded that money to Stewart, Florida, $12 billion. So maybe there's a lawsuit or something that we have to tag on to get that money, but the state of Michigan has also done that on several small cities. So maybe look at that. Great,
Thank you.
great information.
All right, software update, Debbie.
Yeah, so, this item is for approval, to move forward with the, software upgrade to our current QZ system. In the previous meeting, you all had discussion and made a decision about moving to a virtual network for our entire, town, computer system, information system. And that will require that our water, software to a virtual system as well. In the fiscal 25 budget, there is a minimum $20,000 to cover this upgrade and the first year of monthly service fees associated with the new configuration. The quote for the upgrade itself is $11,500. It will not be begun until 3 to 6 months from the time that the document is signed, and it will take approximately 3 months to implement. After it is implemented, then our new monthly fee will take over, which is about double what we are paying now. So we have so like I said, that would be, if you stretch it out over the full year, about $11,500. So $11,500 would be the upgrade, and $11,500 for the full year of needs of services. If we started and we had it all right now, and there's $20,000 in the budget to do this. I talked with Susie about planning and spreading out the payments because, as you are aware, we've just become a rate increase in our cash pipe. So the agreement that is on this quote contract is that what they typically like is when you say, yes, we want to go ahead with this upgrade, they want all the money up front as well. That isn't going to work for us. So what we offer, so 25% down upon signature, 50% when they begin, which might not be for 3 to 6 months, and then back 25% when they're done. And our monthly fees won't begin until, of course, we begin actually using the system. And that could be 9 months from now, certainly 6 months from now. So this contract covers the onset of all of that. And I also discussed with them that once we get to the point of making the monthly payment, I wanted the option to sort of look at our cash position as well, possibly spread that out over the first 6 months of utilizing the new service, and they were agreeable to working on that agreement. So this would be to approve the implementation of the new system for $11,500, and then the new service fee on a monthly basis as it wants it to be.
Roberta.
May I ask a question of Debbie?
Sure.
And maybe
Go right ahead.
Okay. This KUSI, U84, what does KUSI stand for?
Continental Utility Solutions Incorporated is the software company.
Okay, what does the software run? So we just,
It's all of our billing, and meter readings and services that we provide to the state.
okay, all right, thank you.
And it's separate from the website.
Yeah, it
So-
has nothing to do with, nothing to do with the network, but it's what we use to run the water company bill.
I move to approve the contracts for Tuesday to move our billing software to virtual platforms previously approved in the fiscal year 25 waterworks budget.
Second on the motion. Second from Chris. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed? Unanimous. Thanks, Debbie. Patty?
I got this one.
Okay.
Parks and Rec, it's the first chance we've had to officially report that the Music on the Ridge event went off without a hitch, despite a last-minute adjustment to the schedule. We worked through that one pretty smoothly. We had 135 people come through the main gate and collected $800 of donations. And again, a reminder, in case you forgot all those hours ago, that we will be meeting 6 p.m. Saturday at the Children's Park to celebrate the establishment of the park.
Thanks, Zach. George, anything on landmarks?
Landmarks is meeting, day after tomorrow.
Okay, thanks. Zach, planning, you have a report?
Yeah. Oh, it's extremely lengthy. No, we are, we've been very busy, mostly with the issue we just dealt with. We have a special meeting tomorrow at 7, focused on the comprehensive plan. This will be the historic preservation and community engagement focus areas. The last two we have to go through before version 1 will be assembled later this summer, early fall.
Okay. Questions for Zach? Okay, thanks, Zach. Roberta?
Yes, Ordinance Review Committee Chair, Roberta McCurry. There's no report, so item 1, there's no report for this month. We didn't meet last month. So moving to item 2, if I may.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I'm done with item 1, so can we move to
Oh,
item 2?
go.
Okay. All right, discussion and action on the second reading, final reading of the text amendment to the definition of short-term rental. I do apologize, I was not here last meeting, and did not really get to present the first reading, and going back and looking at the meeting minutes and listening to the, recorded portion of the meeting minutes. I think maybe what was presented, as first reading may have been, incorrect and may have had some biases, with it. So my problem is maybe what was presented was too far and was not what the ordinance review committee agreed to. So therefore it wasn't a unanimous, as you had asked in the meeting. And we may have a situation where we can't do the second reading tonight because the changes to the first reading may have been too substantial and may have changed the meaning of the text and gone too far. So my suggestion tonight is I think we're in good shape to get this done. We can certainly call a special meeting to get it done. But I think it needs to be sent back to ORC because I think what was changed was not vetted by the ORC. I think Storm presented some very interesting comments that we didn't include from definitions on vacation rentals. And I appreciate you bringing that up, conditional uses. But I think it caused a problem. And I think it was changed too much. And therefore it was a substantial change between first and second reading. So I think either we need to go back to a first reading and cannot have the second reading tonight. And I would make a motion to that effect that we basically postpone the second reading and send this back to the ORC to vet vacation rentals and hostels as it was applied. I also think the word motel still needed to be in there because it was in the old language. I still think it needs to be there. So I think there's some problems that we can't go forward with the second reading tonight. And I'd like to make a motion to postpone the second reading, schedule a first reading either by special meeting, provided the ORC takes this back, vets it, and brings back ordinance 2024-03 as a first reading again.
Is this a consensus of ORC, Roberta?
ORC
No.
did not talk,
No,
about
no,
this.
no, 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 no.
We have not met, and we're not scheduled to meet until the 26th.
Okay, I just don't want to confuse myself. Chris,
We can't talk about it, as ORC because we're a small group.
I believe that the restrictions on changes are between the first and the second reading. I think that the town council can take ORC's recommendations and make whatever changes it needs to and agrees to at the first reading. And that was done, and you were not present. Your job was to get the paperwork done, and you told me a week ago you were going to.
I did get the paperwork.
Hey.
For first reading.
George, what your perspective?
Yes. And it's, I agree. I believe that the town council has the ability, the right to alter the recommendation, which is just a recommendation to the ORC, and that's what we did. That said, I conferred with Roberta about this, and she made a comment that I think I wished I'd heard when we had our last meeting, and that is the word motels really belongs in there. That's really, we're talking about very minute matters. I believe that although there are no motels, this is what Storm Sergeant McGuire, that's why I pulled it out of there in the town. We're not writing this thing just for the present, but for the future.
Did you confer with Chris?
No. I'm just talking about my point of view as council.
So in other words, you had a meeting with Roberta on,
No, I talked
with a
to council.
quorum.
I talked to council woman here about this very clearly. And
Quorum for ORC.
I can't take it back in the ORC, but I have to call me.
but in any event, I believe here's the solution to this matter. I'd like to suggest that we put the word motel back into it. Because somebody could come into the town and say, I built this, and by the way, it's a motel, and so on. I think it's worthwhile. And I think that we can do this in the second reading season because it is not a substantive change. Recall that we had a definition just like this a couple meetings ago, refresh my memory, about non-permanent structures. And we included two words change in the second reading, which were just examples of our concept in there. And that was considered a minor, non-substantial change. I think the inclusion of the word motels in here, which I think would be thoughtful and appropriate, would be a non-substantial change. We could proceed for the second reading. And if that's what I would like to make the motion to do, if I get the opportunity.
Roberta, quickly.
Yes, sir. I did some research, legal research, and again, I'm not an attorney. I'm not representing myself as an attorney, nor am I the town attorney. But I have done some research on what happens when, between first and second reading, there are changes that are substantial and material. And it requires, for most municipalities across the nation, that if that happens and the changes are too substantial, that a first reading is required. It goes back to first reading. Can a municipality change a text at the time of adoption? If the second reading is happening, it is time of adoption. Therefore, they cannot make a change to the ordinance being presented that is substantial or material. Adding the word motel back in may trigger that substantial material item. Can an ordinance be different from first reading to second reading? Yes, because it's going to go through reiterations. And so, yes, it can be different from first and second reading, but if at the time you present it for first reading, you've made too many changes and you've gone past that line, then you're required to go back to first reading. I think it would be safe because, I think the change is too far great. It changes the intent. And I think more people need to see what this says.
Okay.
And it hasn't,
Your
the
point made.
language wasn't here to give to the public prior to this second.
Point made. Nina?
I have a motion.
Go ahead.
I move to postpone the second reading until after ORC review and either resubmission of the second reading upon unanimous consent from ORC or retraction and resubmission of First Amendment, to town council.
There's a second on the motion. Second from, Roberta. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed? 1. 6-1. IOC, Nia.
Okay. So IOC, we've had a very busy month. We've met weekly, pretty much. So we are currently working to create job postings for open positions at the water department. And those should be complete this week, and there will be 2 positions that will be posted. We'll be accepting applicants for. I will let that be sort of announced by the water department, and that's ready to go forward. We had our meeting on Friday for the launch of our logo creation project. We submitted some examples of imagery that we thought would be meaningful to be put into a logo. The company is taking those examples and they will come up with several different samples, which we will then be presenting to the public. We will be hosting an open house for review, and we'll also be sending out sort of an email blast questionnaire. And we'll be taking that feedback to sort of narrow down that feedback to provide to the logo company, who will then sort of finalize some more examples, which we will then bring to council for review. So they most likely will not be ready for the August town council meeting, most likely probably the week after that. So we'll be most likely hosting a special meeting in August just to sort of vote on our final selection of logos. And then that will be then when we create our final selection, that will then be sent to the logo company, who will then finalize that and clean up that design. And that also includes a color scheme package as well, fonts, colors, that kind of thing, not just a logo. We requested a full sort of thematic package from them. Our launch for the website project was postponed due to the power outage on Wednesday, but we are scheduling for this week. I do not have the time or date for that yet, but it'll most likely be probably Thursday or Friday. We'll continue to provide updates as we move along, but currently we are looking at probably mid-September, early October for completion and launch of the new website.
Any questions? Chris?
Is that public blast about the logo, am I understanding that's before your August meeting or after that?
Before the August meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll have a public sort of open house where people can provide feedback. We'll then sort of narrow down that feedback to provide to the logo company. They'll then take that and come up with a couple examples. We'll then bring them out.
So sometime this month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. I may ask of the town recorder.
You certainly can.
Your email blast, so how does the public sign up for that email blast? How will we get to do that?
We don't have a total plan in place yet, but we're looking at using the MailChimp emails. So the ones that are people that are subscribed to our newsletter, and we're looking at potentially doing a Google form. So it'll be, you can see the examples and you can fill in sort of comments about them. We're not doing a vote for favorites. We just want feedback because there'll always be changes that can be made to every single logo. So we're just hoping to narrow it down from there. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Tree Commission. Okay, there's a vacancy on the Tree Commission, seat number 4, term ending December 31, 2025. We have an applicant of interest, Christian Petriconis.
I have a motion.
George?
Yes, Nita, I'll pass a copy of the motion to you. I have a motion. I move to postpone the appointment to the Tree Commission until the August 2024 town council meeting. And if I can have a second, I'll explain why.
Go ahead, George.
Yes, I know this position's been open for quite some time, but confession never caught my attention until 4 days ago when the agenda came out. Good Lord. And I've been talking to a number of people, and while we do have one applicant come forward, I think it'd be nice if other applicants now aware of this can come forward. I am speaking with someone who's likely to come forward who can bring a degree in forestry from the University of West Virginia and a little under 20 years in forestry service request us, please, since there doesn't seem to be any alarming events requiring an additional member, I think it would hurt us if we postponed a month.
Any other discussion?
Please.
Chris?
The announcement for a vacancy on the tree commission has been up, I don't know, maybe
March.
a year in the post office. And we have right now 2 people who have been working extremely diligently to get our trees watered, to do a lot of back and forth with a tree inventory that has great needs right now. And we have a volunteer to help them on it. I would argue against this delay. I know you have your issues with the volunteer, but we have a town to run and we have needs and we have people willing to do them. Let's have some respect.
Any other discussion?
None.
All right, go ahead, Roberta.
Yes, I think George's point regarding someone who brings a level of expertise to the tree commission, I think is valid. Maybe we can add another position. I think our tree commission is relying on a couple people that have been in town for a long time. They're not going to be here forever. Maybe they want to quit. I've heard one member who wants to quit forever, but they're still there, thank goodness. But I think we need to consider someone who has forestry, arborist, and some kind of experience. I was very surprised, disappointed, and heartbroken when I drove along Ridge Street when I came back, and 2 lots had been desecrated with all their trees, and just about every tree cut down to the stump. And the house was beautiful with the trees, and now they have no trees. There's another lot on Washington Street that was desecrated with removing trees, and I don't think they technically had permission to remove the trees. It's really disheartening to see how many trees are being removed in this town like this overnight, because this, that, and the other. I think we need to have the tree commission really consider getting someone who has expertise level, getting arborist reports, more than just one, not the one who's happy to cut any trees, one who would like to preserve the tree. We are on a mountaintop, and the roots of these trees hold us together. We lose too many trees, we'll start to slide down the mountain. I'm not kidding.
Okay.
Look what's happening in California, all the landslides and houses going down the valley.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Storm?
Yeah, I believe we have a proven capable person who has stepped forward, been a vacancy for a long time. I'm hearing unsubstantiated rumors and allegations. And frankly, the benefit of the doubt is pretty exhausted, and I believe this vote should continue.
Any other discussions? Second and last, George.
Yeah, second and last, I haven't heard any allegations.
Okay,
However, I have read the tree ordinance section of our ordinances, where there's 5 members supposed to be, so it would be nice if we could chin up half a dozen more, but we have 1 vacancy, and the other is specifically a request that we have people with knowledge in the tree area. And I think it'd be good to try, and I'm trying, give me a month to get somebody, see if they'll come on board. Run that before.
any other discussion? Second and last.
I believe that if we wish, it is a possibility to expand if the town council wishes to the 5-member board, if that's the desire.
Second and last, Roberta, make it quick.
So, by this, there's only 3 positions, right, on the tree commission now, is that correct? Or is there 5?
Patty?
There's 34. So right now, there's only 4 positions for the commission. 5 positions. Okay. 4 seats are filled. Okay. Just 1 vacancy. Okay, my understanding that was. Right now, there's 1 vacancy. Okay, I was thinking that was 2 vacancies.
All right, we have no further discussion. I forget what the motion was to
Postpone until August.
postpone the appointment.
For August.
All right, all those in favor of the motion to postpone the appointment, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion fails. All right, Chris,
Mayor, I nominate Christian Petriconis to the tree committee.
Okay, Nina, would you take roll?
Zachary Morse,
No.
George Jones,
No.
Chris Craig,
Yes.
Stormy Stanza,
Yes.
Roberta McCray,
Abstain.
and myself, yes. And Gregory Vaughn.
Yes, motion carries, or the nomination carries. Board of Zoning Appeals,
Mayor,
sorry,
I nominate Eddie Love to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
okay, we have a nomination of Eddie Love to serve on the, seat number 5 would be the first one called, which would end January 1, 2025.
Mayor,
George,
I nominate Kurt Christensen to serve as the Board of Zoning Appeals.
for seat number 5. Is that right? Okay. All right, we're gonna call roll.
Sure. I'd like to, as voted on earlier in the meeting, offer a point of discussion and very briefly.
All right, make it very brief, George.
Very brief.
I mean, brief.
Here's brief. I would like to say that I know the Christensen family. I visited their household and spoke with them actually about the subject of the architecture of our town, the character of our town. I found them to be fair-minded people who are engaged in the details, and also I could use the word home.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Roberta, make it quick, please.
I would like to support, the nomination of Christian as well, Ms. Christian, only because it's a new person coming forward, and thank you for coming forward. The other applicant serves us well on the Jefferson County, you know what he's on, Jefferson County Board, he serves the Merchant Association. He serves on maybe 3 other volunteer capacities, and he does a very good job against the market. And I think he's doing a very good job of handling his other obligations. I would like to open the floor to someone new and welcome someone new to our table who is willing to step up and volunteer. And let's go ahead and welcome this new member of our residents and
Got it.
let the wealth of our knowledge be expanded. And so that maybe if some of us step down, maybe there's a new training in the works.
Got it. Thank you. I lost my train of thought. Okay, so we are on, excuse me, we are on seat 5. We have 2 nominees, and we're going to do a roll call first on Eddie Love. Nina, call roll, please.
Zachary Morse,
No.
George Owens,
No.
Chris Craig,
Yes.
Stormy Stanza,
Yes.
Roberta McCray, no. Myself, no. Mayor Vaughn,
Yes,
nomination.
second nominee.
Second nominee is for Kurt Christensen for seat 5. Zachary Morse,
Yes.
George Owens,
Yes.
Chris Craig,
Yes.
Stormy Stanza,
Yes.
Roberta McCray, yes. Myself, yes. Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
Nomination carries. We do have BZA alternative seats as well.
Okay, we have an alternative seat. Seat number 1 would be,
The term ending, January 1st, 2027.
I nominate Eddie Love.
okay. Do a roll call. Any other nominees for seat number 1, term ending January 1st, 2027? Hearing none, call roll for Eddie Love for seat number
Point of
alternate.
Point of information before we do this? Yeah,
Ma'am,
point of information.
go ahead.
Okay, so the alternates, these are alternates to the BZA.
Yes,
Okay, and these alternates do not exist now. These persons do not exist now, so they're not renewing their terms.
that's correct.
Okay, thanks.
We still have one, right?
My point of order. I'm very sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead, George, real quick.
Thank you. I'm reading the letter of interest, which is one of the points of eligibility for this. And to whom it may concern, according to the town website, it looks like there is a regular member vacancy on the Board of Appeals. You're still looking for someone to fill that vacancy. I do want to volunteer for the position. I don't believe he has volunteered for the alternative position. And so perhaps we can ask the applicant to resubmit and next month consider this. I think this is out of order.
Council?
I think he's right.
I would agree.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens next month, right?
Well, it's a man.
All right, we're gonna ask him to resubmit. I hate agreeing with George.
And I don't want to keep you up tonight.
Yes, we do. All right, so Board of Zoning Appeals, we're done with that. Dark Sky Storm.
So we have the first meeting of the Dark Skies Committee. And first order of business would come up from the officer, the chair is Karen Stacy, vice chair, secretary, Joe Curley, Zach Morris representing Planning Commission, HLC seat remains vacant. So, yeah, and the head of PC, or the head of the committee has contacted the head of HLC to see about that seat being filled. So first meeting was a general discussion about the mandate mission of the committee, which is to deliver a draft dark sky ordinance to town council. The committee may also make specific recommendations at that time. A general plan for developing the ordinance was laid out, which includes looking at the Dark Sky International's model light ordinance and the ordinances of comparable jurisdictions, conducting after dark surveys of existing lighting, lack of lighting conditions, the first of which took place as opposed to the meeting on July 3rd, along the entire length of Washington Street and most of Lower Town. The map will be generated from that. And then the next step after that will be getting input from key stakeholders and the general public, and a more solid timeline will be developed, we believe, at the next meeting. And there was also during the meeting a wide-ranging discussion about lighting ordinance elements, including general appropriate light levels, light zones, light trespass, glare, protection of the natural environment, providing adequate and appropriate lighting along public rights of way, light curfews, light fixtures, and light station, enforcement of dark sky compliant utility vehicles, facing with power. And that's
Thank you. Thank you. Zach?
Just to add to that, our next meeting will be Wednesday, July 17th at what time did we say? 6, 7? I think
Yeah, this
7.
one isn't a night tour.
Right, this is just a sample meetup. So
July 17?
6 p.m.
That's for the Dark Sky Committee.
Yes.
Okay, great, thanks. Old time Christmas,
Yeah.
volunteer Storm. Thank you very much, Storm. Man stepped up to the plate.
So, in preparation for holding the kickoff meeting of the Old Time Christmas 2024,
Zach and I realized that the only formal action that town council has taken to this point was to appoint me to be on it. I have no desire to be a committee on this whatsoever. And the intent, as I understand it from Parks and Rec, recommendation was for there to be this committee that would have a Parks and Rec member who was agreed to be Zach, town council rep who was voted me, and a representative from the Merchants Association. So what I think we need to do right now is to make the nominations of Zach, and we did receive a letter from the Merchants Association, which I sent around. Their chosen person would be Martha Hellman. So I nominate Zach Morse to be the Parks and Rec member of the 2024 Old Time Christmas.
Second from George, discussion. All those in favor of Zach?
Do we do a roll call?
yeah, it's a nomination.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
George Owens?
Yeah.
Chris Craig?
Yes.
Storm Costanzo?
Yes.
Roberta B. Curry? Myself, yes?
Yes,
Mayor Wong? All right, unanimous.
that's unbelievable.
I could have sworn we did that before, but this is a
Oh, yeah, we went through the whole thing with goggle eyes that
All right,
was. And I nominate Martha Hellman to be the Merchants Association member of the 2024 Old Time Christmas.
roll call.
Point of information, do we really need to confirm the merchants, delegate to this committee?
Anybody sitting on a town committee? Yeah.
Okay.
Nina, call roll.
Zachary Morse?
Yeah.
George Owens?
Yes.
Chris Craig?
Yes.
Stormy Costanzo?
Yes.
Roberta B. Curry? Yes. Myself, yes?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, last item, unfinished business, Henry Clay. When I was in Charleston, I met with the chief inspector. There is not much to report, like I said at the beginning of this meeting. The fuel company has received 2 orders, and they have not complied with either order from DEP attorneys. And so additional action is ongoing between the DEP legal staff and the attorneys for the fuel oil company. Also, the resident advised me that their case in circuit court is scheduled for March 2025. So, not much to report, unfortunately, on this. But it's all in the legal hands and just taking on a life of its own, I think. Okay, motion to adjourn. Motion from George, second.
Turning of item new business, item number 8.
Any new business? There is none.
Yeah, well, then may I tag on to 7A, please?
What is your item real quick,
Okay,
Roberta?
I didn't hear from Cindy IOC's report, their update to the emergency response plan and how we're gonna handle emergency response. So.
Bring that up at another time.
Okay.
All right. All right, so George made a motion to adjourn. We had a second from Chris. All those in favor of adjourning? We are adjourned at 9:15 p.m.